It doesn't matter how many times I log into this game, I just cannot get around the fact that the hot elf chick in the back of the title screen has the derpiest expression I have ever seen. Like, if some enormous demon dude was kidnapping you, going to do untold horrors to you, I can only imagine how terrified I'd be. That right there, that isn't terror. That isn't a horror. That's oops, I farted, but I don't think anyone knows it's me. Hey, my name is Stix and welcome back to the worst gacha ever, a video series where I discuss a gacha and tell you guys what I thought in explicit detail as we attempt to find the worst gacha ever. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that little bell notification. That way you remain up to date with every single thing that I post, and I post every Sunday. Do not miss out. Now go grab a vanilla Coke, a nacho cheese bag of Doritos, and let's jump right in. Valhalla Survival is a roguelike. You fight multiple waves of enemies over a set period of time, all the while trying to survive. It's a very simple concept, but gets progressively more difficult the longer battles go on, due to the increased power of enemies, the sheer number of enemies, and your slowly depleting HP pool. But, I mean, when you look as cute as this, does it even really matter? I've always wanted to live out my innermost fantasy of inhabiting the body of a hot elf girl and getting pounded by hundreds of guys over a single minute period. Valhalla Survival lets me do that. When beginning the game, you choose between one of several different classes. As you continue to play the game, you'll be able to obtain additional characters and classes. I went with the hot elf girl because, I mean, she's a hot elf. There was also the less hot character and a guy, but who would pick him? And then you're just in-game. No story, you're just in-game, being ravaged by swarms of enemies. Reminds me of when I went to Anime Expo 2023 and had to fend off all the women because they just couldn't resist my charms. After clearing all of Midgard, I still hadn't encountered any story, which was a little bit disappointing, but that's okay. I'm more than capable of making up stories in my head. I'm just an innocent shrine maiden trying to get home after a long, tedious day at work, and a few completely random strangers decided to help me walk home. How absolutely chivalrous of them. The bulk of the game takes place within the main story, and by story I mean the main story chapters. You deploy your character, running around procedurally generated areas with randomly generated enemies. There is no end to the zones or the enemies, so realistically, you can just hold a key to run vertically or horizontally, slowly picking up loot on the way, and you won't even need to look back at your screen. Progression takes a form of levels and skills. You equip skills before going into battle. You can equip a total of 8 skills and can learn more as you continue to level and advance through the game. Not only character levels, but also skill levels. As a mage, I had access to numerous different elements: gravity, fire, ice, lightning. They all had different uses, different advantages to using them. Some were AoE, some were heals, some were support abilities like a barrier. There's honestly a lot of depth to the skill system, which I do appreciate as it allows you to craft a relatively unique character. You equip 8 skills before going into battle, and as you slowly level via defeating enemies, you'll gain skill points that you can distribute between the skills that are currently available. These vary per level and per stage, so every playthrough will differ in terms of what you can do and how difficult the encounters are. After surviving half the timer, you're greeted by a boss battle that is significantly more difficult than anything you encounter normally. But even that is relatively easy. Just dodge the telegraphed attacks and let your character auto-kill it. Once the timer is fully depleted, you'll engage the stage boss, which is about as difficult as the previous halfway boss. Same strategies tend to work for these. Having cleared Midgard, I didn't find the game to provide any real difficulty, but then again, I am a really good gamer, so that probably helped. One thing I generally dislike about games like this is the fact that skill levels aren't permanent, meaning after the successful completion of a stage, everything resets and you're required to begin the next stage from scratch. I guess this imposes a degree of artificially inflated difficulty, but there doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of progression going on. To enhance your character, since levels and skill upgrades don't transfer between stages, you'll utilize the equipment system. You can equip weapons, armor, or accessories. From what I can tell, you can directly upgrade armor specifically. Armor does have several rarities: normal, magical, rare, heroic, and legendary. Why you'd name a tier magical rather than something like uncommon really leaves me confused, but I mean, that's just me. Weapons, on the other hand, can not only be changed, providing different beneficial effects, but it can also be upgraded, increasing its level and upgrade level depending on the items used as a resource. Leveling is a separate cost, coins and those little purple bars, which you acquire via dismantling armor. There are numerous heroes that you can unlock, each different classes. The mages and rogues are hot women, the warriors are males, so you know which class you'll never play. Each hero has their own individual levels, stats, class, and hero skills. My mage Lif is level 20 and is much more powerful than the others since I just unlocked them. Some heroes cost in-game gold, others are premium. Thankfully, even outside of the main story, you can farm resources through the Scout feature, an idle resource gathering option. XP, gold, those little purple bars, hero growth stones, and more. There are also dungeons you can plunder, but they function much in the same way as the main story. There's the Forgotten Golden Temple and Territory Defense. At least with the Territory Defense, you're required to fight off an army of enemies before they destroy your base, so there's a little variety there in terms of content. The shop is surprisingly more expensive than normal. $115 for what is normally a $100 pack in other gacha games, $58 for the second highest tier. You can also buy a set of legendary gear from the shop for $1. While there's no PvP implemented yet, that is definitely a form of pay to win, which, you know what? That's fine. Honestly, as this is a single player game with absolutely no multiplayer functionality, let people pay for an advantage if they have the money. Now let's talk gacha. You don't roll for characters in this game. Once again, you either purchase the free ones in game or you buy the season pass and unlock them for roughly 25 bucks each. I'll admit, I do like the idea of buying characters with a guarantee. If every character cost me 25 bucks, I would be happy. This should be the direction the gacha genre goes, not RNG till pity at 180 like Genshin. Gacha instead allows you to pull for weapons and gems. Every weapon costs 2,000 gems and every gem summon costs 1,000. In normal gacha games, you're guaranteed at least one character or weapon of the second highest rarity per 10 pull, but no, not in this game. This game, you're guaranteed nothing. You can do a 10 pull and get all grays or all greens. You're guaranteed a blue weapon at 50 and a purple at 100. However, it's completely random. Same applies for gems. I didn't see any mention of a legendary either. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I very well may be, but couldn't find anywhere in the probability numbers, online, pertaining to a guarantee of any kind, meaning that you can pull infinitely and never obtain the item you want. This is horribly free-to-play friendly. I'd take Genshin's guarantee over none at all, man. Honestly, Valhalla Survival is kind of fun. The gameplay loop appeals to someone that is a fan of tactical games, but at the same time, it becomes tedious as the level goes on because you become so powerful, no enemy can even get close to hitting you. Now let's break down my rating. Combat 2 out of 10. Sadly, there's the main story, or the dungeon, which is exactly what you do in the main story. Difficulty 2 out of 10. The difficulty, or the lack thereof, is disappointing. Standing around auto-attacking because the enemy can't even reach you definitely gets boring. Free-to-play friendliness, 3 out of 10. I was gonna actually rank this 0 out of 10 for the weapon and the gem banners, but you can outright buy characters for 25 bucks a pop, so it's pretty good. Gameplay, 5 out of 10. Honestly, as long as you space it out, it is kind of fun. Graphics, 3 out of 10. Characters look great from what you could see of them before going into the actual game, but otherwise we're too zoomed out to really see how good or bad the game even is. Sound, 3 out of 10. I don't really recall much other than the attack special effects. Story, 0 out of 10. There is none. Who is that chick from the beginning? Who are we? What are we doing? What is our purpose? Who are the other party members? Voice acting, 1 out of 10. Other than the attack voice lines, what else was there? World, 1 out of 10. Since it's procedurally generated, there's nothing to it, which is sad. Fun, 6 out of 10. I was actually pretty entertained when I played it each day. It is kind of fun. Overall, I'd give this 26 paid characters out of 100 RNG ones, or 2.6 out of 10. This is a fun game if you have nothing else to do, but there's not much substance to it otherwise. Hey, where do you think you're going? I see what you're doing there. I see you navigating on over, scrolling on over to that X button. Don't you dare. What I need you to do is take a moment and click one of the videos that are about to appear as soon as I'm done talking. And trust me, you're gonna want it.